The ocean covers 70% of our planet, yet it remains one of the greatest mysteries in the universe, waiting for us to unveil its hidden secrets. Today, we begin an epic journey beyond the reach of human limits, descending into a realm where sunlight has never touched the ground for millions of years. Our descent starts in the Sunlit Zone, the top 200 meters of the ocean, where the sun provides energy for a bustling world of marine life. In these shallow waters, biodiversity flourishes in a kaleidoscope of colors, driven by photosynthesis and the warmth of the sun that feeds the entire ecosystem. This is the domain of the hunters we know best, where predators and prey engage in a timeless dance of survival within the reach of the light. But as we move deeper, the blue begins to fade into a darker hue, marking the end of the world as we know it on the surface. A specialized deep-sea submersible begins its lonely mission, carrying us into the abyss where the pressure rises and the temperature begins to drop significantly. Looking back up, the surface world seems like a distant dream, a thin layer of light protecting the fragile life that exists in the air above. The underwater landscape changes dramatically, leaving behind the vibrant reefs for a stark, vertical world of shadows and mystery that few eyes have ever seen. We have already passed the height of the world's tallest buildings, yet we have barely scratched the surface of what lies beneath the crushing weight of water. The life here is fast and powerful, adapted to the cooler temperatures and the increasing density of the water as we leave the sun behind. The geological features of the deep begin to emerge, our ancient structures formed by volcanic activity and the slow movement of the Earth's crust over eons. Connection with the surface becomes a tether of data and hope, as the vastness of the ocean begins to swallow our vessel in its cold embrace. Our destination is the Western Pacific, where a massive scar in the Earth's crust creates a portal to the deepest point on our entire planet. In this transition zone, we encounter creatures that bridge the gap between the familiar and the alien, shifting shapes in the shadows of the deep sea. The pressure is now mounting, pushing against the titanium hull with a force that would easily crush any ordinary vessel in a matter of seconds. If you were to place Mount Everest into the trench, its peak would still be over 2 kilometers below the waves, lost in the eternal darkness. The scale is truly terrifying, a vertical wilderness that challenges our understanding of biology and the physical limits of life on this planet we call home. We are now entering the Twilight Zone, a realm of permanent dusk where the last traces of sunlight vanish and a different kind of light begins. Welcome to the Twilight Zone. Here, between 200 and 1000 meters, the sun's energy is a memory, and bioluminescence becomes the primary language. Creatures here create their own light, using chemical reactions to communicate, hunt, or distract predators in a world where being seen is a dangerous game. The anglerfish uses its glowing lure to attract curious prey, a deadly beacon in the void that proves how evolution adapts to the absence of the sun. Millions of lanternfish migrate vertically every night, creating a massive movement of biomass that links the deep sea to the surface in a nightly ritual. Inside the sub, where scientists watch in awe as the darkness comes alive with biological fireworks, a hidden galaxy of life thriving in the cold, dark depths. Rare sightings like the giant oarfish remind us that many legends of sea monsters likely originated from the strange inhabitants of this middle-depth world. The temperature here hovers just above freezing, a constant, icy environment that slows down metabolism and allows creatures to survive on very little food. At this depth, each inch of the hull sustains a weight equivalent to an elephant standing on a thumb, a pressure that defines the survival here. Entering the midnight zone, we find ourselves at 4,000 meters. There is no sunlight here, and the darkness is absolute and eternal for all. Elusive giants roam these depths, predators that have evolved massive eyes to detect the slightest flicker of bioluminescence from miles away in the dark. Appearance matters little in the dark, where survival depends on being able to grab and hold onto any meal that happens to drift by. Below us lies the Abyssal Plain, a vast desert of sediment that covers more than half of our planet's surface, yet remains mostly unexplored. Life here is patient. With food being scarce, every movement is calculated to conserve energy in the crushing weight of the deep ocean's heart. Sonar becomes our eyes, mapping a landscape of jagged peaks and deep valleys that would be the most spectacular mountain range on land. Not all creatures here are monsters. The Dumbo octopus moves with a delicate grace, proving that beauty exists even in the most extreme conditions. Pressure at this depth is over 400 times that of the surface, enough to compress air and materials into a fraction of their size. Ancient glass sponges create delicate cities on the seafloor, filtering the water for nutrients that have drifted down from the world above for centuries. Defensive displays are spectacular here, where a burst of light can mean the difference between becoming a meal or living to see another day. The tripod fish uses its elongated fins to stand still against the current, a master of patience in a world where food is a rare luxury. The deep sea survives on marine snow, a constant rain of organic debris falling from the productive surface waters to feed the hungry abyss below. We are now at the edge of the abyss. Beyond this point, the seafloor drops away into the deepest Miskonsams, most mysterious canyons on our planet. Welcome to the Abyssopelagic. Here, we leave the familiar plains behind and enter a world of extreme geology and even more extreme survival strategies. A whale fall is a miracle in the deep. This single carcass provides a massive feast that can sustain an entire ecosystem for several decades. Specialized organisms like bone-eating worms move in, breaking down the toughest parts of the skeleton to ensure that nothing in the deep goes to waste. At 5,000 meters, the pressure is a silent killer, a constant force that dictates the anatomy and chemistry of every living cell here. Hydrothermal vents are the heartbeats of the abyss, spewing superheated, mineral-rich water that creates an oasis of life in the freezing, dark desert. The water here can reach 400 degrees Celsius, yet it doesn't boil because of the immense pressure, creating a unique chemical laboratory for life. Giant tube worms thrive here without sunlight, using chemosynthesis to turn toxic chemicals from the Earth's interior into the energy they need to grow. These blind shrimp use specialized sensors to detect the heat of the vents, navigating a world where chemical gradients replace the visual spectrum entirely. This is where the Earth's internal heat meets the cold ocean, a process that recycles nutrients and influences the chemistry of the entire global ocean. The abyssal plains are also home to vast fields of mineral nodules, quiet witnesses to millions of years of slow geological time in the deep. Every sample we take is a treasure, providing clues about the origins of life and the geological history of our planet's most hidden places. We discover brine pools, underwater lakes, so salty and dense they have their own shorelines, trapping any creature that accidentally wanders into their toxic depths. We are now crossing into the Hadal Zone, named after Hades, the god of the underworld. This is the final frontier of the ocean's depth. At 6,000 meters, the snailfish is the deepest living fish ever recorded. Its body perfectly adapted to withstand pressures that would liquefy human bone. Their proteins are specially designed to function under pressure, a biological marvel that allows them to thrive in a place once thought to be lifeless. The Hadal trenches are formed by plate tectonics, where the heavy oceanic crust dives beneath the continental plate, creating the deepest scars on Earth. Looking into these crevices is like looking into the history of the planet itself, a vertical timeline of Earth's constant and violent self-renewal. The environment here is harsh and unpredictable, with sudden shifts in chemistry and geology that keep the explorers and their machines on high alert. The sheer scale of the Mariana Trench is humbling, a cathedral of darkness that makes our most advanced technology look like a child's toy. We are reaching the limits of physics. But the pressure is now so great that it changes the very properties of water and the biology of life. Every creak of the hull is a reminder of the power of the ocean, a force that demands respect and absolute precision from those who explore it. In the abyss, the imagination runs wild. For every creature we see, there are 1,000 more that remain hidden in the vast unexplored shadows. We are now entering the Mariana Trench proper, heading toward the Challenger Deep, the absolute lowest point of our world's vast and deep oceans. This is a place of geological violence. The collision of tectonic plates here creates the deepest trench and some of the most powerful earthquakes on Earth. Modern sonar technology reveals a world of unexpected complexity, a terrain shaped by the slow grinding forces that move the very continents we live on. The walls of the trench are made of ancient rock, exposed by the subduction process, while offering a rare look at the foundations of the oceanic plate. Even here, 7,000 meters down, life is abundant. These scavenging amphipods are the cleanup crew of the deep, eating anything that reaches the floor. The Mariana Trench is a massive feature, stretching across the Pacific seafloor for thousands of miles, a hidden world beneath the waves we usually see. Navigation is a challenge in the dark. The pilot must rely on sensors and skill to avoid the obstacles that could trap the sub forever. We discover natural wonders that no human has ever seen, geological formations that rival the most famous landmarks on the surface of our planet. Some of the largest single-celled organisms on Earth live here, proving that size and complexity have different rules in the extreme conditions of the abyss. The trench is not a stagnant place. A deep-sea conveyor belt brings fresh oxygen from the surface, allowing life to survive even at these crushing depths. For at 8,000 meters, we are deeper than the summit of the tallest mountains. The world above is now a distant, forgotten memory of light. The seafloor here is covered in diatom ooze, a fine powder made from the shells of tiny organisms that lived and died millions of years ago. In the Hadal Zone, the silence is absolute. Every creature moves with a purpose, conserving energy in the dark, cold, and high-pressure environment of the deep. The rocks here hold the magnetic signature of the Earth, a recorded history of our planet's magnetic flips and shifts over millions of geological years. Even at these depths, we find relatives of the fish we know, adapted in ways we are only beginning to understand through our careful observations. Every meter we descend brings us closer to the absolute limit. The tension in the cabin is palpable as we approach the final, ultimate goal. Remotely operated vehicles act as our scouts, are venturing into the tightest spaces to capture images of a world that was once completely inaccessible to us. We have traveled miles vertically, a journey that is more difficult and dangerous than a trip to the moon, yet just as scientifically significant. Even in the deepest place on Earth, the evidence of human activity is found. Plastic pollution has reached the very bottom of our vast and deep oceans. We are now at the edge of the ultimate destination. The floor of the Challenger Deep is finally within the reach of our powerful exploration lights. The sediment here is so fine, it behaves like smoke, a million-year-old archive of the Earth's surface that we are the first to ever disturb. Touchdown. At 10,935 meters, we have reached the bottom of the world, a place of extreme isolation and profound scientific beauty. In this moment, we are at the center of the abyss. We are standing where fewer people have been than have walked on the surface of the moon. The Challenger Deep is the Everest of the ocean, the final point of our vertical journey and the most extreme environment on our entire planet. The view is surprisingly calm, a vast desert of soft mud that hides the incredible pressure of over 8 tons per square inch above it. Life is here. These tiny crustaceans thrive in the ultimate pressure, proving that biology is far more resilient than we ever imagined it could be. We leave a mark of our presence, a testament to human curiosity and the drive to explore the most difficult and dangerous places on our home planet. The weight of the entire Pacific Ocean is pressing down on us. Yet inside this titanium sphere, we are safe and able to observe the impossible. At this depth, the sub is an island of life and light, a technological marvel that has conquered the most hostile environment on the surface of Earth. Even the simplest creatures here are marvels of adaptation, surviving on the minimal nutrients that have traveled miles down from the productive surface waters above. The silence in the cabin is profound. It is the silence of a place that has been untouched for millions of years, finally witnessing human eyes. Every mound and trail in the mud is a puzzle, a sign of life that we have yet to name, categorize, or even fully understand today. These creatures use chemistry we are only beginning to understand, extracting minerals from the sediment to build armor against the crushing weight of the deep. Looking up, the ocean seems endless, a vertical void that holds more secrets than the stars in the sky above our fragile surface world today. Inside, oxygen is precious and every system is critical, for there is no room for error when you are miles below the possibility of any rescue. The cold is constant. The abyss is a refrigerator for the planet, storing carbon and energy in a delicate balance that affects the entire global climate. New species are discovered on every dive, reminding us that we are still in the age of discovery when it comes to our own home planet. The isolation is total. We are alone in the dark, yet connected to the world above by a thin thread of data and human spirit. Only a handful of missions have ever reached this point, each one expanding our knowledge of the deep and the limits of what life can endure. Science is the reason we are here, to measure, to observe, and to understand the forces that shaped our world from the bottom up today. Our time at the bottom is limited. We must begin the long climb back to the world of light, leaving the abyss to its eternal silence. The Challenger Deep remains behind, a silent witness to the history of the Earth, waiting for the next explorers to challenge its dark, deep secrets. The ascent is a release, a journey back through the zones of the ocean, moving from the extreme pressure toward the familiar world of the surface. As we rise, the pressure begins to lift, and the colors of the ocean return, marking our progress through the vertical wilderness of the deep sea. We pass the twilight world once more, a brief re-encounter with the glowing life that thrives in the shadows of the middle depths of the ocean. The first rays of sunlight are a welcome sight, a reminder of the energy that drives the world we know and the life we share today. We have returned. The transition from the silent abyss to the roaring waves of the surface is a shock to the senses and a triumph. The mission is a success, but the work is just beginning. The data we have collected will take years to analyze and fully understand globally. Every drop of water in the abyss is part of a global system, a massive engine that keeps our planet habitable and our climate in balance. To explore the deep is to understand our own future. We are linked to the abyss in ways we are only just beginning to realize today. The journey to the deepest place on Earth has only just begun. The abyss is calling, and we must continue to listen to its ancient secrets.